you see as the role of power line communications technology in reducing energy consumption in residential and commercial buildings?
I think what Corey is talking about is smart grid technology and allowing the utility to talk directly to appliances, or allowing a homeowner to actually know what the cost of a particular appliance is at any given point, and to be able to use energy based on that.
Is that a viable alternative?
Oh, it's very viable. Smart meters, they call them, are being deployed across California, even as we speak, in a number of other service territories. The technology is developing very, very rapidly, and it's going to allow us to provide the kind of information to consumers and homeowners and businesses that they're going to need to better manage their energy costs.
Again, would that be cost prohibitive to a homeowner or consumer, or is that something that you'll be able to purchase? It sounds great. I'd like to buy one for my home. But
well, the way that they're approaching it in many states is that you're actually buying it over the course of time through what they call a mill add, or a small charge, a surcharge on your utility bill that is then going back into a pot that's allowing utilities to purchase these meters and put them forward. But there is going to be a cost. Somebody's going to have to bear the cost, whether that's the approach we take or it's homeowners buying them individually. We're going to have to look at that. But in the end, it makes a great deal of sense to do that, because again, you've got a one cost up front, and then the potential energy savings that you're going to make up. It's an interesting thing, but it can be made to work, and there are a lot of different approaches. Utilities across the country are looking at different approaches. We're not there yet, but I'm hopeful that we soon will be. And the technology, you got to have the smart meter first, and then the technologies can come along behind that, the appliances and the others that you can hook into the grid.
Did you have some sort of final?
That was it on mine. Just, before we go, I just think this is a quote. I didn't attribute it to anyone, because I've heard so many people say that our greatest energy resource in the United States is the energy we currently waste, and I just added to it that it's also the greenest, because again, a kilowatt hour that you do not use produces no environmental footprint, which is something that no other energy resource can lay claim to, even renewables. Will have some environmental footprint in the development of and creation of the technology to use the energy, et cetera. So it's the only thing. Not using energy is really the greenest energy resources we have.
Well, this segues nicely, because Peter Crosby says, how much energy can individual consumers save by better managing their computer power usage?
Oh.
I would say don't turn it off just yet.
Yeah, I don't have a figure for that, an average. I mean, that's one of the things that's a little bit tricky about energy efficiency, quite frankly, is it's very dependent on how much you're wasting currently, what system you have, what upgrades are available. But what I will say is that for most equipment, electronic equipment in particular, it often uses more energy when you have it turned off than when it's on, because it's, for example, your TV is sitting there ready, willing, and waiting for the remote to click on and sense that. You have clocks built in and timers built into things. So one good way to save, and that by the way, that electric load is growing as we become a much more digital and electronic-driven age in the home. So a good way to do it is make sure you turn things off. Make sure if you've got it on a power strip, when you're out of the home, you're away, turn off the power strip so the power is completely off to the product, and you don't have that vampire or parasitic
And there's no
power
damage
going
to
on.
your product at that moment. There's nothing to worry about turning it off and turning it back on in that capacity.
No, none at all.
Another question for you. Amit Patel says, do you think small wind turbine and solar combination will play a major role for home and small industries? Will Congress provide any incentive for such systems, alternative energies in that way?
Well, a couple things. First of all, let me say that the Alliance to Save Energy is fuel neutral. We work a lot with the renewables community because of the way that issues are lined up and appropriations are made. We're bundled together. Having said that, I think if we're going to have an opportunity for home renewable energy production and use, the first thing you have to do is get the home to be as energy efficient as possible, because those kinds of solutions only make sense if you're using a bare minimum of power, so you don't have to go back to the grid. Austin, Texas, actually has a building code that they've put in place for new home construction to have all new homes by 2015 be what they call carbon neutral ready. So they have to build in all the efficiency right now. The homeowner can decide to put the solar panels on the roof or to put in wind or any other geothermal resource in, but the shell of the house, or not the shell, the home itself has to be energy efficient so that it is ready to be powered just by those alternatives versus being on the grid.
We're going to wrap up soon, but I want to ask you one last question. We've talked a lot about new buildings and new construction, but there's a lot of old building.
A lot more.
A lot of old construction. What can be done to incentivize people to update their homes or update their buildings, and at the same time really encouraging them to do so even though there may be a cost involved that they're not anticipating?
Right. Well, you're so right. I mean, we have a building stock. That's the problem. You build a building, and it's around for 50, 75, 100 years. So while we're building a few less than 1 million new homes a year, we've got lots, many, tens, scores of millions more that are already built. One good way, we believe, is through, because it's an educational tool as much as it is helping to buy down, are those tax incentives for homeowners to make efficiency upgrades. It gives the retailers something to advertise. It gives the incentive of buying down the cost of the investment a bit to the homeowner. Those lapsed at the end of 2007. They're not a lot. It was $500 per family over 2 years. We'd like to see it be more than that, but it's a start, and it is a way that you can incent people to put that technology forward. The other thing to do, we believe, again, is a public education and outreach. And the energy bill of 2005 put in $450 million it authorized to do a campaign, a 5-year campaign to educate people about how long the payback periods will be, what they can do to make improvements to the home. Not a penny of that's been appropriated. So the Congress needs to do that. In the meantime, there are all kinds of resources. People should go to our website at ase.org. They can link through. There are all kind of home energy calculators. Utilities are providing this information. State energy offices, the Department of Energy, EPA. There are beginning to be a lot of resources available. We just need to let people know they're there.
And the way to do that is just through public outreach and marketing information. That's
right. And again, prices matter.
Yeah.
As prices go higher, we find that people are actually looking for that information and beginning to make use of it. And people in a tough economy and where there are no new homes, the construction industry is looking at retrofitting older homes. Home Depot, Lowe's, places like that understand that people are looking for ways to insulate themselves. And
that's a way for those companies to stay relevant, too.
That's right.
Kateri Callahan, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. She's with the Alliance to Save Energy. This has been really valuable and informational. I want to let you all know that we're going to take a quick break. Not that quick, but we're going to take a quick break. And Paul Schein's coming up with me at 2:15 this afternoon. He's with the Department of Energy, and we're going to be talking about data centers and the efficiency of data centers. So again, at 2:15 Eastern Standard Time, join us again. And Kateri Callahan, thank you
for
being with us. We'll see you back here in about an hour or so.
Great.